What if I told you the most successful people in the world have already accomplished 3 hours of deep work before most people even hit the snooze button? The morning hours you're sleeping through might be the very thing keeping you stuck. That quiet time before dawn holds a power that few ever tap into. Those dark, peaceful hours before the chaos of the day begins are when clarity is at its peak and your willpower is strongest. Today, I'm breaking down why waking up early isn't just some productivity hack, it's a fundamental shift that separates the exceptional from the average. I've studied the morning routines of top performers for years, and I'm about to share what really works and what's just hype. The hidden power of your first hour. Have you ever noticed how different the world feels at 5 a.m.? There's a stillness that can't be found at any other time. The emails stop, the notifications pause, the demands of others temporarily vanish. This first hour sets the tone for everything that follows. When you surrender this time to sleep, you're letting the world decide how your day unfolds, instead of claiming that power for yourself. Think about it: when you start your day reactively, jumping straight from your bed to your phone, checking emails, or rushing to get ready, you've already lost control. You're playing defense from the moment you open your eyes. But the early riser plays offense. They don't react to the day they created. I used to be the person who maximized every minute of sleep. Hitting snooze was my specialty. I'd roll out of bed with just enough time to throw on clothes and race out the door. My mornings were a blur of stress and rushing, and somehow that rushed feeling followed me throughout the entire day. Everything changed when I started waking up at 5:30 a.m. Those first moments of quiet became sacred. My mind was clear, my thoughts were my own. I wasn't immediately bombarded by other people's priorities and problems. This isn't about torture or punishment. It's about reclaiming the most valuable hours of your day when your brain is fresh and your willpower is at its peak. Breaking the myth of, "I'm not a morning person." Let's address the excuse I hear constantly: "I'm just not a morning person." Here's the cold, hard truth that nobody wants to hear. Being a morning person isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Your body follows the rhythms you train it to follow. When you consistently wake up early, your body adjusts. Your internal clock resets. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires commitment. The research is clear on this. A study from the University of Toronto showed that after just 3 weeks of consistent wake-up times, participants who previously identified as night owls reported feeling more alert in the morning. I've seen this happen with thousands of people who swore they could never be morning people. The human body is incredibly adaptable. The question isn't whether you can become a morning person, it's whether you want the results badly enough to push through the temporary discomfort. Remember, the things we resist the most are often the very things we need to embrace for growth. Your resistance to early mornings might be the exact reason you should pursue them. The science of willpower and decision fatigue. Let me share something fascinating about your brain. Your willpower isn't infinite. It depletes throughout the day like a battery. Scientists call this decision fatigue. Every decision you make, from what to wear to what to eat to how to respond to that difficult email, drains your mental energy. By evening, your willpower reserves are running on empty. This is why even the strongest-willed people often break their diets at night, skip planned workouts in the evening, or cave to distractions after a long day. Morning hours are different. After sleep, your willpower battery is fully recharged. Your decision-making ability is at its peak. This is why morning exercise routines stick better than evening ones. It's why reading or journaling in the morning leads to more consistency. Think about the last time you planned to do something important after work. How often did it actually happen as planned? Now compare that to something scheduled for early morning. The difference is striking. The most successful people understand this science and leverage it. They tackle their most important tasks, the ones requiring the most focus and discipline, during those precious morning hours when their mental energy is strongest. When you wake up early, you're not just gaining extra hours, you're gaining your most powerful hours. Creating your morning success ritual. A powerful morning doesn't happen by accident. It's engineered through a deliberate ritual, a sequence of actions that prime your mind and body for exceptional performance. The key word here is ritual, not routine. A routine is something you do. A ritual is something that transforms you. Let me walk you through what an effective morning ritual includes. First, hydration. Your body is dehydrated after sleep. Drink 16-20 ounces of water within the first 10 minutes of waking up. This jumpstarts your metabolism and flushes out toxins. I add lemon for vitamin C and a little sea salt for minerals. Second, movement. Not necessarily intense exercise, but enough to get your blood flowing and oxygen circulating. This could be as simple as 5 minutes of stretching, a brief walk outside, or 10 push-ups. Third, mindfulness. Even just 3 minutes of meditation or deep breathing can center your thoughts and prepare your mind for focused attention. This isn't about emptying your mind, it's about training it to be present. Fourth, review your purpose and goals. Remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Reconnect with your vision before the day's distractions pull you away from it. Fifth, input something positive and educational. Feed your mind before the world tries to feed it garbage. Read 10 pages of a book, listen to a podcast, or review your field's latest developments. Finally, tackle your most important task, what some call the one thing, or the MIT, most important task. The thing that, if accomplished, would make everything else easier or unnecessary. This entire sequence can take as little as 30-45 minutes, but it sets the stage for a completely different kind of day. What you don't do is equally important. Don't check emails, social media, or messages until your morning ritual is complete. The world can wait an hour while you set yourself up for success. The early riser's edge in productivity. The math of early rising is simple but powerful. If you wake up just 2 hours earlier than usual, you gain 14 extra hours every week. That's 728 hours per year, the equivalent of 30 full days. Imagine having an extra month each year to advance your goals, learn new skills, or build your business. That's the early riser's advantage. But it's not just about the quantity of time, it's about the quality. Those morning hours are distraction-free. No phone calls, no meetings, no family demands, just pure, uninterrupted focus. Studies show that the average office worker is interrupted every 11 minutes and takes 25 minutes to return to the original task. Morning work happens before these interruption patterns begin. Let me give you a personal example. I used to try writing in the evenings after work. I'd struggle to produce 500 words in 2 hours. When I switched to writing at 5:30 a.m., I consistently produced 1,500 words of higher quality in the same 2 hours. The difference wasn't my ability, it was the environment. Early mornings create a psychological space where deep work becomes possible. This edge compounds over time. While others are playing catch-up, you're already 3 steps ahead. While they're reacting to the day, you're proactively creating your future. The relationship between sleep quality and waking early. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but won't I just be tired all the time? This is where most people misunderstand early rising. Waking up early isn't about sacrificing sleep, it's about optimizing it. The quality of your sleep matters more than the quantity, beyond a certain point. And your sleep quality is directly tied to your sleep schedule consistency. Your body craves regularity. When you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even weekends, your sleep quality dramatically improves. You'll fall asleep faster, experience more deep sleep, and wake feeling more refreshed. The key is shifting your bedtime earlier, not just setting an earlier alarm. Most adults need between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. If you want to wake at 5 a.m., you need to be asleep by 9-10 p.m. This means creating a wind-down ritual that begins 60-90 minutes before bed. Dim the lights, turn off screens, lower the temperature, read something calming. The discipline of early rising actually begins the night before. The morning wake-up is simply the harvest of good decisions made the previous evening. And here's something interesting. Many early risers report needing less sleep overall once their bodies adjust to the new rhythm. The consistency and quality of their sleep becomes so improved that 6.57 hours leaves them more refreshed than 8-9 hours of inconsistent sleep ever did. Mental clarity and the psychology of morning mastery. There's a psychological benefit to early rising that goes beyond productivity. It's about who you become in the process. When you win the first battle of the day, the battle with your pillow, you establish a success pattern that carries forward. You've already proven to yourself that you can do difficult things when you don't feel like it. This builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, your belief in your ability to accomplish what you set out to do. And self-efficacy is one of the strongest predictors of success in any endeavor. Early rising is as much about identity as it is about hours. When you become the type of person who does what's important rather than what's comfortable, other positive decisions follow naturally. The mental clarity found in those morning hours also allows for better strategic thinking without the noise of the day clouding your judgment. You can see your life and goals with remarkable perspective. This is why so many successful people use their mornings for reflection and planning. The decisions you make at 6 a.m. are often vastly different from those you'd make at 4 p.m. when you're mentally drained. There's also a profound sense of peace that comes from being awake while the world sleeps. Those quiet moments belong entirely to you. In a world that constantly demands your attention, this psychological space becomes increasingly precious. Overcoming the 5-day barrier. Let's talk about something few people discuss, the 5-day barrier to early rising. Almost everyone who attempts to become an early riser fails within the first 5 days. The initial excitement wears off. The reality of fatigue sets in. The temptation to just this once sleep in becomes overwhelming. This is where the wheat gets separated from the chaff. The 5-day barrier is actually a filtering mechanism that ensures only the truly committed receive the benefits of early rising. Here's how to push through it. First, understand that days 3 and 4 will be the hardest. Your body is resisting the change. Knowing this in advance helps you prepare mentally. Second, make your wake-up non-negotiable. Put your alarm across the room. Have an accountability partner text you. Agree to pay someone $100 if you don't get up. Third, focus on consistency rather than duration. It's better to wake up 30 minutes earlier every day than 2 hours earlier just twice a week. Fourth, create immediate pleasure in the waking process. Have your favorite coffee ready. Play music you love. Do something immediately that brings you joy. Fifth, remind yourself that fatigue is temporary. Your body will adjust, usually within 10 to 14 days of consistent practice. The discomfort is the price of admission to a more productive life. And here's the secret that sustained early risers discover. After a few weeks, it actually becomes easier to get up early than to sleep in. Your body craves the consistency. Breaking the pattern by sleeping in often leaves you feeling worse, not better. Tailoring your morning to your purpose. The ultimate power of early rising comes when you align those morning hours with your deepest purpose. Generic morning routines fail because they're not connected to what truly matters to you. Your morning should be as unique as your fingerprint. Ask yourself, what is the one area of my life that if transformed would elevate everything else? Is it your health? Then your morning might focus on nutrition and exercise. Is it your business? Then strategy and planning might take priority. Is it your creativity? Then writing or art might be your focus. Is it your relationships? Then perhaps journaling about how to show up better for others becomes central. The most powerful mornings are purpose-driven, not just discipline-driven. When your early hours connect directly to your deepest values and biggest goals, the motivation to rise becomes intrinsic rather than forced. I've worked with executives who use their mornings to plan strategic moves before the day's chaos, artists who tap into their creativity when the analytical mind is still quiet, parents who use the time for self-development so they can be more present with their children later, and entrepreneurs who build side businesses in those hours before their day jobs. There is no one-size-fits-all morning. The question is, what would make getting up early absolutely worth it to you? From discipline to identity, the transformation. The ultimate goal isn't to force yourself out of bed every morning through sheer willpower. That's unsustainable. The goal is to reach the point where early rising becomes part of your identity, where I am an early riser replaces, I'm trying to wake up early. This shift from discipline to identity is the tipping point. It's where what was once difficult becomes natural. I've seen this transformation countless times. People who struggled for weeks suddenly find themselves waking up before their alarms. They feel strange sleeping in, even when they have the opportunity. This happens because the human brain seeks consistency with its self-image. Once you see yourself as the type of person who rises early, your actions naturally align with that identity. The key to this transformation is consistency through the difficult early phase, paired with a constant reminder of the benefits you're experiencing. Keep a journal of how different your days feel when you rise early. Note the additional accomplishments. Acknowledge the sense of control and peace. Celebrate small wins. Did you get up 5 days in a row? That's worth acknowledging. Did you finish a project that had been stalled for months? Connect that win to your morning practice. Over time, your brain creates an unbreakable link between early rising and positive outcomes. At that point, sleeping in feels like denying yourself something valuable rather than giving yourself a treat. And here's the beautiful part. Once early rising becomes your identity, it no longer requires the same willpower. What was once your hardest habit becomes the foundation that makes all other positive changes possible. I've seen this pattern repeated in the lives of artists, entrepreneurs, parents, students, and professionals across every field. The path is available to anyone willing to push through the initial resistance. The question is simple. Are you willing to be uncomfortable for a short time to create an extraordinary life? Are you willing to do what others won't so you can have what others don't? Your alarm clock isn't just a time-telling device. It's a gateway to possibility. How you respond to it tomorrow morning might just determine the person you'll become in the years ahead. The early morning hours are the closest thing to a superpower that exists in real life. They give you time when everyone else is asleep, mental clarity when your willpower is strongest, and the psychological advantage of winning the first battle of the day. The path isn't easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. Push through the 5-day barrier. Align your mornings with your purpose. Transform early rising from a discipline into an identity. Remember, we all get the same 24 hours, but those who own their mornings own their lives. The quietest hours often speak the loudest in terms of results. So tonight, set your alarm a little earlier. Tomorrow, when it rings, make the choice that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Your future self is waiting to thank you for the decision you make in that moment.